Welcome to part 2 of Create Breakout Hits with Game Thinking, a talk I gave at Agile India 2019. Today, you're going to learn how Slack, Kickstarter, and Duolingo use game thinking to create innovative, genre-defining hits. In part 1, you learned about how hard it is for innovators to cross the chasm into mainstream success. And you learned about how a step-by-step system called game thinking can increase your odds of success by giving you a roadmap for finding product market fit. You learned about the 3 pillars of game thinking, starting with high-need superfans, that narrow niche within your market that'll dramatically accelerate your success. Continuing with a compelling mastery path that propels your customers along a learning journey they care about. And finally, using a pleasurable learning loop with feedback, progress, and emotional triggers to bring customers back and upgrade their skills. You also saw how prototyping and testing your learning loop first, before the other stages of your mastery path, is the best way to drive engagement from the ground up. Now, in part 2, you'll see how 3 innovative and influential hits, Slack, Kickstarter, and Duolingo, use these powerful techniques to find success. We'll start with Slack, a collaboration tool that's become a massive hit. Did you know that Slack was an internal development tool for years before it launched as a product? The developers served as their own high-need superfans. Slack first came to life as an internal tool created by a distributed team who was developing a cooperative online game called Glitch. When that game failed financially, the team, including co-founders Stuart Butterfield and Cal Henderson, decided to turn their homegrown tool into a product. By the time that they launched, Slack's learning loop had been refined through years of use, and they fleshed out the rest of the experience through their launch and beyond. Let's take a look at how the Slack we know today engages customers along a mastery path. First comes discovery. Discovery is for visitors, and Slack pulls in visitors socially through friends and teams and people saying, oh, you got to check this out. Next comes onboarding. Onboarding is for newbies, and Slack's newbie experience involves individuals interacting with a friendly, helpful bot that teaches them just enough to learn the ropes and not make a fool of themselves in the multiplayer environment where Slack's main events happen. Now, doesn't that sound like a game? This is a common way that multiplayer online games train users in an introductory level by interacting with a bot, and Slack does the same thing. Next comes habit building, and in Slack, habit building is all about customization and learning the ropes over time as it unfolds, and you find that there's emojis and there's bots and even integration. Habit building is for regulars, and in Slack, the through line is making it your own and making it configured to work just right for you. Next comes mastery, the experience for the people who want to go deeper and have mastered the basic systems. In Slack, mastery's through line is the same, more and more customization. You can launch your own channel, program up a bot, make it exactly how you want, and even integrate your app into Slack's ecosystem. Next, let's look at Slack's pleasurable learning loop. First is the trigger and the core activity. For Slack, the trigger is FOMO, fear of missing out. Once your team is using Slack to communicate, you need to check in regularly whether or not you're getting a notification. The activity is reading and responding to updates. That's the core thing that you do in Slack, very similar to all other social media. The key feedback that helps you build your skills is knowing that all your updates are read. And interestingly, Slack has invested in making that message varied and entertaining because that simple piece of feedback is so critical to you using Slack effectively. Next comes progress. In Slack, that's all about customizing things to be just right for you. And progress is often connected to the re-engagement triggers that bring you back. Of course, FOMO's still operating. But as you customize your channel and your notifications, you're much more likely to leave them on, thus making those triggers even more effective. Next, let's take a look at Kickstarter, the hugely successful crowdfunding site. When Kickstarter was first getting off the ground, they focused on enabling and empowering artists to find and raise money from people who appreciated them. Now, Kickstarter has grown far beyond these focused beginnings, but it never would have done that if they hadn't started off small and hyper-focused. Let's look at the mastery path, starting with discovery. Like Slack, Kickstarter's discovery experience is social, but with a different twist. You'll discover Kickstarter campaigns through your network via messaging or social media, like this Twitter update that led me into a Reading Rainbow campaign. Next comes onboarding, where you learn the ropes. On Kickstarter, onboarding is set up to encourage exploring. You can search for whatever you're interested in, and you can sort the results in different ways that deliver both what you're expecting and some unexpected twists. For donors, habit building revolves around what happens before, during, and after you donate to a campaign. Once you do decide to take that leap and donate, you've got skin in the game, and you're rooting for that project to succeed. You're naturally motivated to share it with others. And that win-lose state means that you're playing a cooperative multiplayer game with everyone else who's in that campaign. Finally, there's mastery. And in Kickstarter, this is really focused around the people who transition from donors into campaigners. Kickstarter has a multi-step process in place to help campaigners raise money, including sophisticated stats dashboards and customer support resources. Kickstarter's pleasurable learning loop is a thing of beauty, and it's the engine that powers the site's success. Let's break it down. The trigger is a social update that you respond to, which then brings you into the site where you can watch a video and explore that campaign and maybe others. The key feedback moment is donating to a campaign. That's when you enter the game, and now you're playing cooperatively with everyone else who donated. And then, at the perfect emotional moment, Kickstarter suggests that you share your feelings about that campaign. And when you do, you create the update that becomes the trigger that someone else responds to, and the loop continues. Like the very best marketplaces in games, the Kickstarter experience gets better as customers become more and more skilled. And you can do that too. Now let's look at Duolingo, the hit language learning app. Duolingo started by focusing on teaching English to the people in Guatemala, the native country of Louis von Ahn, the creator, who couldn't afford the tools of the time. They worked on that for a while, and then they broadened out to embrace more languages once the core was working well. If we look at Duolingo now, the discovery phase is all about the core promise of the app, which is to learn a language for free forever. Now, that's a strong promise, and millions of people worldwide have responded to it. Like many health and learning apps, Duolingo's onboarding is all about level setting. You answer a series of quick questions about your desires and intent, which then helps the app deliver a great first experience to you. Duolingo's learning loop is built around short, game-like activities that deliver just the right level of challenge. Duolingo embraces many game-like progress mechanics, like achievements that you get for completing a short lesson at the right skill level. Duolingo does a great job delivering visual cues that guide the customer toward mastery. In Duolingo, progression is built around unlocking content and collecting achievements, two systems that are common to many educational games. Much of Duolingo's staying power comes from a well-designed learning loop that builds on this. After the initial level setting that you experience in onboarding, you then turn on a customized update which pulls you in to mini games that you play through. The layers of feedback in Duolingo are part of what pulls you back. The first one is collecting achievements and other rewards. And then there's a deeper one, which drives investment, which is gaining skill in the language and then unlocking new content and challenges over time. This kind of skill building will help you make your customers come back too. If you make them more awesome, they'll want more of that. Now, this approach works for entrepreneurs worldwide, not just for these amazing companies I just told you about. Vinayak Joglekar, the founder of Synerzit based in Pune, India, used these techniques to save his team months of time. Robin Allenson, the founder of Similar.ai, an AI meets fashion merchandising company near Amsterdam, used these techniques to find exactly the right people to test his ideas on. Ofer Liedner, the president of Happify, used these techniques to build and test the right MVP. Miriam Pailak, the head of product at Anafor, a genealogy services company, used these ideas to validate and develop her side project and turn it into a new revenue stream. Kara Meverden, the founder of Subcast, now Scout FM, used these techniques to turn their idea into a concept that got funded, and then she's now developing. The world is changing. The smartest product leaders are empowering their customers, not manipulating them. Game thinking is a step-by-step system that will show you how to empower your customers and engage them for the long term. And that will help you dramatically increase your odds of crossing the chasm. Do you want to learn more and put game thinking to work for you right now? Well, when it comes to advice, I've learned one size doesn't fit all. So go to gamethinking.io/quiz and take our short Innovators quiz. This will give you a free game thinking cheat sheet with advice that's tailored just for you. I so appreciate your time listening and learning. If you want to keep learning and stay in touch, sign up for updates at gamethinking.io. Want to put game thinking to work on your project? Join our 2019 Masterclass this May and make 8 months of progress in 8 weeks with high-quality training, time-saving templates, and live group coaching in your time zone. Don't miss out. Go to gamethinking.io to learn more and sign up for the early bird list.